Okay, so the Friday the 13th commentary series is continuing now with part 3. I'm definitely bouncing all over the place with these. Started off with part 2, moved on to part 5, and now part 3. And I'm actually going to be watching it in 3D for the first time in years. And the first time watching it on 3D in 3D on Blu-ray. Before I just watched it in 3D on the 2009 Deluxe Edition DVD release. Now I'm watching the 3D version on the kind of recent 2022, I think, Steelbook Blu-ray. So if you're gonna watch along with your copy, set it to 000 and press play now. I'm wondering just how much of the 3D effects are going to show up in this release. I forgot about that little disclaimer. The ladies and gentlemen, first few minutes are not in 3D. So yeah, if you're not watching the 3D version with me, it's gonna be a bit unsynced. Like, you're not gonna be completely synced up with me. And I like that, much like part 2, it opens with a bit of a recap with the ending of the second film. But not as a dream scene this time. Would have been cool if this part had been in 3D. But that probably would have cost quite a bit of money. Yeah, I always forget that they include the entire climax of the second one. Like, this part 3 is 1 hour and 35, I believe. It's the longest one up until part 8. But the only reason for that is that there's like 7 minutes of part 2 along with the 3D opening credits. I already have 3D glasses on. It kind of feels like my eyes are crossing. And I think this is the last time we see Betsy Palmer in any of these. Now, the first time I saw part 3 was actually back to back with the final chapter, part 4, my family, like, my parents rented it, both of them, on VHS from, like, one of those video store tanning salon hybrids in Ohio. And so I had seen the second one a bunch of times from like the age of 4 to like the age of 8, and then it was like it was a few years after seeing the second one before I saw any of the other ones. And I think the order that I saw the first 8 was something like 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 1, 5, 8, or something like that. Just totally out of order. Excuse me. Wish we'd gotten this shack again. Kind of wish that the 2009 film had a shack instead of the underground tunnels, but the underground tunnels still really work. And there's the shot, the pulling the machete out and dropping it and scooting away across the floor that kind of throws off the ending of part 2 a little bit. Okay, so the titles aren't exactly popping out of the screen, but there's like some kind of like optical illusion fuckery going on with them. It's a bucket list thing for me, seeing this in theaters in 3D. Which I don't know if they did that for the 40th anniversary back in 2022, but if they do it for the 45th anniversary in 2027, I am definitely going. I don't care if we have to drive like 2 hours, 3 hours away. I will see this in 3D if it's ever released in 3D in theaters again. And this is way, way different from the opening credits of 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the music is different too. And I like that in some of the documentaries and like written texts about this movie, they mention that this theme music was apparently popular in gay clubs in the early 80s. And I'm pretty sure Steve Miner is the only person to direct multiple Friday the 13th films. And he happened to direct 2 of the best ones. Because part 2 and part 5, or part 2 and part 3 are both in my top 5 of the series. Okay, the 3D is not looking too shabby. I think I can thank my TV for that. So part 5 has the toxic gay couple. This one has a toxic straight couple. most brutal and heinous in local history, as if 5 years ago 8 other people hadn't been killed at a camp in the same area. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen this, and the bit with the rabbit ears actually worked. Now, see, that news report kind of lends to the theory that Paul is still alive, because if Paul died, that would be 9 bodies. But I think maybe they just hadn't found all 9 of them. I still think Paul's dead. I don't like to think that there is a single movie in the franchise that has a single digit body count, and if Paul's not dead, that bumps the body count down to 9, including Alice. So, no. I love that Harold is a train enthusiast. Something that he has in common with my partner. So many doors. My freshman year of high school, I won a goldfish at a high school football game, and I named him Lionel after one of these fish. And that fish somehow lived for like 3 years. See, I would love to visit this store just because of all the train stuff, but I don't know if I would want to get fruits or vegetables from this store because they're just letting animals chew on it. And because the owner is just drinking and eating stuff and putting it back on the shelf, just not a very not sanitary. Not good. This is the first time I've noticed that Harold doesn't really have that many lines. So cheesy. Coca-Cola. That's not Coke. kind of pulling a Mrs. Mac from Black Christmas with the booze hidden in the bathroom. He didn't even wipe. That has such a gross bathroom, too. That was good. And it brings back some of the music from the first film, because that particular bit, that like kind of shrieking bit, was not in the second one at all. And I actually don't. Wait, no, it is. It is in the fourth one, when Samantha gets killed on the raft. Unlike some of the later entries, this one still does a pretty good job of building up suspense. Like, we've just had about 10 minutes, almost, of just waiting for these two to get picked off. Yeah, if I were her, I would not be happy in that marriage and living like that either. Another van. There's a lot of vans and a lot of Beatles in this franchise. Yeah, that obvious setup for past trauma. And one of the only times that we see what it looks like in the town of Crystal Lake. I love that. I flunked Spanish. How did they manage to produce so much smoke in so little time? Ah, Rolling Stone sticker. And while this is the first movie that focuses on teens or whoever going out and just partying as opposed to camp counselors like 1 and 2, you cannot convince me that all of these people, or really any of them, are teenagers. A joint in 3D. Breakfast? Oh, right, Debbie's pregnant. So this is the first and only time that an unborn baby is killed in a Friday the 13th movie, and I'm kind of surprised that didn't stir up a whole lot of moral outrage at the time of this release, but that's the only time it's mentioned that she's pregnant. And the weed eating scene is like one of my favorite comedy, like straightforward comedy bits. And since, aw, poor Bunny. How did she not see him? And since we don't have Crazy Ralph anymore because he died pretty early on in the second film, we get this guy instead. Whose eyeball is that? And why is he making it sound like Jason gave him the eyeball? Like, this is a whole weird can of worms that is never touched on again. That's a great 3D shot. And much like the second film, it takes over 20 minutes to even get to the main location. Rick being creepy. And while he's not unlikable, Rick is just kind of bland. The death order in this one is not really my favorite because Vera, Andy, Debbie, um, and Shelly are probably my 4 favorite characters of the main 8, and they're the first 4 to go. But they all make it a while. Like Vera, the first one to go, dies exactly 1 hour into it. And as usual with these, I gotta point out all the really weird decor in this place. It's an even cozier cabin than the ones in the first and second films. I feel bad for Shelley. He does kind of cross a line into just annoying douchebag territory because after a while it's like he's trying way, way, way too hard with the pranks and to get under people's skin. But uh, you can tell, like, the dude just wants people to like him and he wants to stick out somehow. I've tried sleeping in a hammock, I just can't do it. I don't think I would even attempt to have sex in a hammock. 3D, hey. And yes, there are dumb country boys in New Jersey. That's a great scream. Absolutely would not want to have stairs like this in my house because I can just see my foot going through and like me falling off of them drunk coming home from a bar or something. You may hear that in the background. That is my dog snoring. This is another location that unfortunately burned down some years back. See, even this prank is a bit much. Another beetle. Yeah, this weekend is already shaping up to kind of suck. Like, they haven't even been there, what, a half hour, an hour, and already people are splintering off and wanting to leave. We'll see about that. That nothing's gonna happen when we're all here together. Now, see, confirmation that it takes place in New Jersey. And here's the character that my channel is named after. This is the first one to have secondary villains as well. And it's cool that the three of them actually serve a purpose. They mess with the car, they siphon the gas. So like them being kind of bullies over the next few minutes, sort of that's what prevents Chris from being able to just drive out of there and escape at the end of the movie. Oops. Her face. Still can't get over this tiny town randomly having a biker gang. What I want to know is how did the bikers find the cabin and the barn? How do they know where these people were staying? Very eye crossy 3D yo-yo gag. Yeah, if I were Rick, I would be furious. Yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to go. See, this whole thing with the siphoning of the gas and everything should have been one of the offline side mission things in the game. Springsteen the boss. Yeah, definitely prefer this barn over the barn in the fifth movie. Because this one is just full of cool stuff. Whereas the fifth one, it's huge and it feels kind of empty. And a lot of this movie takes place in this barn. Like, there's this scene, there was a scene earlier, the entire ending takes place in it. Probably spends about as much time inside this barn as it does inside of the main house. There are some slight pacing issues with this one. Um, the second one also saves the majority of its kills for the last half hour or so, but it doesn't really feel like it because that is such a short movie. Not including the dream scene or the credits or anything, it's an hour 17, probably, if you shave all that off. But with this, it's like it's hour 25, hour 30, not including those things. And so far, we're like coming up on like 25 minutes without Jason killing anybody. And then after this barn scene, we go another 20 minutes without anyone getting killed. So it's never boring. It doesn't ever slow to a total halt, but you can feel the gaps, and you can kind of feel the like slightly uneven pacing in this one. Fox is one of my favorites. Definitely my favorite side character outside of the main 8 in this one. More sort of self-aware humor. Repeating the same 3D pitchfork gag twice in a row, but slightly different. So, 4 down. Aww. That one did a pretty good job of acting dead. Is that a wrench? With all the frosted windows and dustiness and the windstorm sort of thing later in the movie, this does not really feel like summer all that much. Plus, wearing jackets and sweaters. Rick wearing Mrs. Voorhees' sweater. And it's like that with a few of these movies, actually, where it's like they take place in the summer or the spring or whatever, but they feel kind of cold. Melting into the couch. Totally repeating the whole, if you want to wrestle, come with me. Like Sandra and Jeff bit when Jeff and Mark were arm wrestling in the second one. Total repeat of that. And Vera and Debbie were two more characters who, when I was a kid, I made a couple of Barbies look a bit like them. And I mentioned that in the part 5 commentary as well, that like years after that, like it was just like a little quirky side hobby thing that I picked up and dropped in like 5 minutes. I found out years later that somebody actually made money off of that sort of thing, like making Barbies that looked like different horror characters, and I thought that was really cool. Yeah, this totally feels like autumn. Probably fix that window. This is an interesting fake out. Like, it seems like this is a Jason POV shot, but it's not. Andy's definitely the most attractive guy in this movie. I want that blanket. Also pretty realistic that she told her best friend Debbie about what happened to her before telling her love interest. Cuz I've had some issues that it's the same sort of thing. Tell your trusted best friend first. Also, how old is she supposed to be and how old is he? The layering of this is kind of cool. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I've always been fond of the two scenes sort of playing off, like playing out over each other. Though the this incident itself, I don't know how I feel about it. And he has no hair here, which kind of goes against the second one. Because in the second one, he had hair. In this, he does not. And this took place well before the events of the second one, so really, I don't really get that. So how did her parents find her? Why did Jason not kill her? How was she not severely injured by him at least? Like, that just... Jason possibly sexually assaulting someone just feels kind of weird. And it's another case of, like, even now at this point, 3 films in, they're still sort of finding their footing when it comes to, like, who and what the character Jason is. Like, in the second one, the big moment of that in the second film was him calling Alice's home phone, which is something he never does again. And with this, it's like he possibly sexually assaulted someone, which he never does again, thankfully. And now we're about to get our second scene in the movie of a man on a toilet. And him going all the way out to the outhouse is a little bit of a strange choice. There's at least one bathroom inside of that house. Does not need to go to the outhouse outside. I especially wouldn't want to use that at night. There's probably spiders in there. That toilet paper has probably been sitting there for like a year or two. Yeah, no. No, thank you. Of all the weekend gatherings, this kind of feels like one of the more boring ones, because they're not watching movies, they're not listening to music, nobody's dancing. The only people that are like hooking up are... It's the established couple, one of the established couples already. There's no board games. They're not even drinking, which they always do in these movies. So I was like, I kind of don't blame Chuck and Chili for just staying stoned the whole time, because it's like, what else is anybody doing? What else is there to do? I mean, there's a million books in there, I guess, that they could read books, but... Butterball, that is mean. Yet another barn scene. And this movie, like, fully explores this entire barn, too, whereas the main house, we just see, like, the kitchen briefly, we see the living room, we only see one bedroom, I think. We don't really spend as much time in the house as we do the barn. Like, so far, we are, like, 55 minutes into the movie, and we've probably only spent, like, 3 minutes, 4 minutes inside of the house. I'm not gonna let anybody hurt you. See, this prank is also kind of fucked up. Don't do that to people. Word of advice, do not do this sort of thing to people. It will not get you laid. The mask. The hockey mask. I wonder if that's also the harpoon that he uses to kill Paul in the fourth film. And these two would have been a cute couple, but she's just not into it, dude. This is also the first time that the lake doesn't really feel like a lake or look like a lake. It just seems like a large pond on this property alone. I swear everybody in this movie is drawn to the barn at some point. I think Andy and Debbie are the only two who do not go inside of that barn at some point. And even then, Andy wanted to go in the barn and Debbie was like, no. Now, what the fuck is that? Mummified cow head? Now, Shelley technically dies fourth, but did Jason get to him and slice his throat before he got to Vera? If so, why did it take so long for Shelley to bleed out? I hate that she goes first, because she's probably my favorite of the eight. It's really surprising, too. Like, it's obvious she's not the final girl. Chris is gonna be the final girl. But the first time I saw this, I totally thought Vera was gonna at least make it to the final four. And then now that she's dead, I was like, okay, Debbie's gonna be in the final three then. It's gonna be Debbie, Rick, and Chris. No. Debbie goes third. She said you stink, bruh. The fourth one kind of does this weird sort of thing, too, that this one is doing right now, where Jason kind of goes like, inside, outside, upstairs, downstairs, instead of just like cleanly going through the house. Because in this one, it's like Chuck and Chili are still downstairs somewhere. Why wouldn't Jason start off getting Shelly in the barn, and then Vera on the dock, and then Chuck and Chili downstairs, and then Andy Debbie upstairs? Instead, it's like he possibly injures Shelly, and then gets Vera, and then goes upstairs to get these two, and then goes back downstairs, and then in the basement, and then, yeah, bouncing around a bit much. And then in the fourth one, it's at a point it almost feels like some of the deaths are, they were accidentally presented out of order, because it's odd in the fourth one how Jason kills the first couple people outside, and then goes inside, kills one, goes back outside, kills the other, and then goes back inside to get the last three. And Andy's kill is my favorite of this movie. And it feels like it might have been toned down just a little bit, but it was just graphic enough to still be really effective and be a nice little, like, ooh moment. Yes, don't be getting drunk while you're pregnant. Hey, Fangoria. Nice little shout out to Tom Savini. Ugh. Ow. And that kill was a copy of Jack's in the first film, but it was just done just differently enough to not feel that much like a copy. And then it happens again in the fifth one with Robin's 3D popcorn. And I've noticed that as the movie goes on, fewer of the big 3D shots really stick out the way that they probably should. Be a man, man is one of my favorite lines. I don't know if I'm just not used to this layout of a house, but it's weird that the basement is, like, only accessible from outside. And I do believe he just walked right past Jason and didn't notice him. A lot of random dead animals in this movie. Like, the snakes killed a bunny or something that was in that cage. And then there was a rabbit on the side of the road. And then there's the random cow head. And then that. And this whole scene right here, just, it kind of feels rushed to me. Like, they knock out 3 of the 8 major characters over the course of, like, 1 minute. So that's 9. Because Ollie is still alive, otherwise it'd be 10, but Chuck makes 9. A lot of people, like, everybody likes to make fun of her performance here, but I've never really seen the problem. Because I've had a couple occurrences where, like, something messed up happened while I was really stoned, and I freaked out in a really dumb way too. And when you're stoned and panicking, your voice doesn't exactly sound great. Aw. 10 down. First time I've really noticed the giant moose head. Yeah, he wiped them out quick. It was like 9 minutes to take out 6 characters. And then there were 2. Oh god, I hate that smell. Smell of burning popcorn is just absolutely fucking disgusting. I kinda like this kitchen. Why would he assume right away that it's Andy specifically? Super hokey, but it still works. This is also the last time in a Friday the 13th where the final girl is truly alone. And it's the last time in the whole franchise that there is a sole survivor as well. And if and to those who are in the crowd of, oh, Paul didn't die in part 2, this is only the second time that, you know, there's been a sole survivor. This is so creepy and weird. Like, why the fuck did Jason do that? It's like he took off the dead people's clothing and just soaked it in the tub for no reason. When I first saw this, I thought maybe that was a body up there in the loft. And that is such a random place to put Loco. And from the time that Rick dies to the time that Chris plants the axe in Jason's head, it's almost exactly 13 minutes. Which is a nice little touch. I don't know how intentional that was. Huh. And one of the windows just straight up gone. In keeping with franchise tradition, window throw. And this Jason doesn't really have the coolest look, but he still looks really intimidating. I kind of wish that 3D shot had been better with the books flying, because that could have been really, really cool. Aww. That's just mean. Like, why'd it have to be her best friend that she found? I love the swiping. We don't really hear much of the grunting and the noises from Jason after this one. Ah, you can see the string with that knife. And she's pulling a Ginny. Because Ginny did this exact same thing in the second one. And then Trish does it in the fourth one. The first time of 2 times that Trish goes out of a window. And here's where the crap that the bikers pulled comes into play. She would have been fine if they hadn't done that. And see, a couple entries from now, Jason would not be hobbling like that. Once he's undead Jason, that's why I think at this point, Jason is still alive. Ginny just severely injured him. He never drowned in the first place. He is still alive at this point. And of course, where is there to go? The only place left to go? The barn. Yeah, unlike the first 2 films, I had a bunch of cabins. This one just feels so isolated, and there's really nowhere to go except for either the house or the barn. Because it's not like there's a whole bunch of other cabins around, it's not like there's neighbors, it's just those 2 buildings. So yeah, out of all of them, I think that this would be the scariest to go through. Because, like, there's so few options, and there's really not that many good hiding spots. More chairs, similar to the ones in the house, because unlike part 2, not all of the chairs in this are different. If I were her, I would just stay put. I would just stay there. I don't care if I have to stay there until morning. Uh, she should have known better. She shouldn't have done that. Conveniently placed shovel. I wonder when he found the time to shave his head. Bonk. Yeah, that totally broke his neck. He should be dead now. That might have been what killed him. Like killed him. That's creepy. Ew. Oh, the teeth. God. That's the scariest image of him so far. Ah, poor Ali. That's a pretty good effect. It's odd that he kind of goes overkill with him, and him especially. Just hacked him at least 10 times. That's so good. Defeated 1 hour and 27 minutes in. And that's 12 down, 13 if you count Jason, 14 if you count Debbie's unborn baby. Yeah, this doesn't feel very New Jersey. She did not drift very far at all. Poor Chris. She was already traumatized, already on edge, but like now, yeah, she's never gonna be alright again. And that's fucking terrifying. Him in the window. Yeah, no. Yeah, this is so pointless. Like, I know what they were going for. They were going for a kind of like full circle thing, like a big callback to the original and Alice being pulled into the water, but it just doesn't really work because how did does Chris even know about Jason or Mrs. Voorhees? And why does Mrs. Voorhees still have her head on her shoulders? Like, that just doesn't really make sense. Like, this is the only movie in the series where the name Jason isn't even spoken a single time. So it's just odd that they went with that. Yeah, she's definitely not okay. Yeah, out of all the final girls, I would say that Chris, she got the shortest end of the stick. Like, she's just shattered. Out of all of them, she's probably the least okay after everything. So it's good. It's good that she's the one that killed Jason, in my opinion. And where is Ali's body? I don't think he's like visible at all. They should have showed us that aftermath, because that was probably disgusting. So yeah, this one, it's probably my least favorite of the first four, but it's still really good. And it's kind of a comfort watch for me. Like, there's been times that I'm just cleaning my house or organizing my collection or doing something, and I'll throw this one on, either this one or part two, as like background noise. And it's usually the the 1982, the first release VHS copy of this I have, I'll just, like, throw it on and, like, the box TV VCR combo and just let it play in the background. Because I need some kind of noise going on. But it's cheesy. It has some pacing issues. Some of the effects aren't all that great. A lot of the 3D is kind of unnecessary, and the death order is sort of sloppy, but it's still fun. It's still a good movie. It's still better than most of the movies in the series. Like, I would probably rank this one as being my 5th favorite. My ranking would probably be 4, 2, 6, 1, and then this one. Which I'm really looking forward to doing the commentary for Part 6. Because Part 6, it's only my 3rd favorite, but it is the most entertaining. And hilarious. And creative in a lot of ways. And I just love that movie's sense of humor. And there's been... in the first 5, there's like little flickers of that sort of self-aware, almost meta kind of humor. Like with the, you're dead now, woman. And no one's gonna hurt us when we're all here together. And as far as I'm concerned, all those loonies could be picked off one by one. And what happens if the psycho wanders in? Like, stuff like that. There's flickers of that in the first 5, but the 6th one is the one that really pushes the whole meta thing. Okay, I think this is going alphabetical order. Because Fox is the 3rd one listed. So yeah, it's alphabetical, okay. Interesting that the actors that play Ollie and Debbie both have the last name Savage, but aren't related. But yeah, this was fun, and thanks for watching along with me and listening to me bullshit for an hour and a half about my 5th favorite of the Friday the 13th. So, until next time, which will probably be one of the Halloweens that I do next. Possibly Halloween 4. So, yeah. Thanks for listening.